So this is an example, kind of building on this idea and this whole sort of show is about, which is how to get listings. One of the things we've been testing is this idea of value-based voicemails. And it's been an incredibly effective strategy for us in a really small sample size. So I'll give a disclaimer because we're experimenting. But the basic idea is when you sell a house, right? When you sell a house, obviously the opportunity to do a just sold campaign is right there for you. And we all understand the circle prospecting. But before you do any of that, what you should do is you should go to your database and say, I'm about to call people around this particular listing to see if anyone else is thinking about selling their property. If I come across any deals, would you like me to let you know?
It's a good move.
We're going to go to work. We might as well get something from it, even if we get nothing from it, right? You with me on this?
It's a great move.
And so what we want to do with our database is show and demonstrate the fact that we're in the market, we're selling houses, we're talking to homeowners. And so number one, you're going to pick up, of course, buyers. I know it's not about buyers, but you get some buyers, right, to help feed the team. But then you'll also find that buy, sell side from people saying, yeah, I would love to live in that neighborhood. I haven't sold because I want to live in that neighborhood specifically. And now you're starting a conversation. Now, when you pick up the phone and call the individuals, what we've done at Curator is we took one of our clients recently. She had this fantastic home she sold in 4 days, $15,000 above the list price. And so we said, all right, we're going to go into PropStream, and we love PropStream, fantastic tool. We're going to build a list around that home. We're going to enrich it with something called skip tracing, which will add the phone number, add the email address. We're going to load it into our call center software, and we're going to call these people. Now, the list was 37 people. We're not talking about a list of
500,
And we just say, hey, and the script it goes like this. We're like, hey, we just want to give you an update. We recently sold 123 Main Street. The reason that we're calling you, right, this is important when we're leaving a voicemail, is because when a home sells near your home, it's going to impact your value. So even if you got no plans on selling your home, we'd love to give you a free home value update. Give us a call back at blank, 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 right? That campaign, right? We called 37 people. Half the numbers were shit, right? We couldn't get a hold of them. We left 14 voicemails. No one picked up the phone, Tom. One person called us back. She said, yeah, I want to sell my house in 6 months. It's worth $900,000. Text our client. She goes, oh yeah, my daughter went to school with her. I know who she is.
I was going to say, I love the home valuation offer because we've used the script before. Whenever we sell homes in an area, it affects your value or your equity.
Right.
But then it's such a logical, would you like to get an updated home valuation? It's just such a logical
When a
offer.
home sells,
It impacts
your value changes.
And that one, I believe, can be done with or without scale.
And if you're afraid to make the phone calls, go knock on their doors. Go do it Sunday afternoon from 4 to 6 and just say, hey, I'm just reaching out with some good news. We just sold the house down the street. Here's the just sold price. Like hand them the flyer with the sold price. And say, we just wanted to let you know that, with this happening, home prices are going up. There's just a tiny little community. We want to just let you know if you'd like a valuation on your property, because it's probably different from that property. So Lisa, everything goes here. What is working right now from a listing attraction standpoint?
Expireds are huge right now.
How many expired listings showed up in the greater Massachusetts marketplace that you serve on December 31st?
January 1, 7,000.
7,000 extremely high intent hand raisers.
Yep.
What'd you guys do with them?
We started breaking them down and we're just dialing through. Just takes a slight different strategy. But we've got more that are actively in nurture. There's so much money to be found in expireds. So many people stopped doing them in 2020, 2021.
There wasn't any. Do you remember, did you ever see the Josh Rubin? We put together a nine postcard campaign that started like 30 to 40 days after the home had expired. And then we just, once a week for 9 weeks, we would just let them know, hey, did you know that only 2/3 of the homes in Portland ever actually sell when they hit the market? We specialize in helping the 1/3 that didn't sell.
Exactly.
And that's not the first postcard, but it's just what we know in the expired game, doing this for 34 years, is everybody goes crazy for the first like 24, 36 hours. And then it just goes like this. Because in a typical real estate market, which we're in now, every day there's new expireds and new opportunities. And most people are inconsistent. So it's just like the slide we showed yesterday. 8% close in the first 30 days, 27% close in month 2 through 3. And then everybody stops and all the real money is in what you do, playing the long-term nurture game. So what have we found? What's the new equivalent of that? What's the new equivalent of the longer-term nurture for expireds?
it's just constant phone calls. It's updating. Which one of you said it, that the media is creating this narrative?
Yeah.
Our biggest job is to undo the narrative. How many people listening to this have heard the market is crashing? It's the worst time to sell. Like interest rates are crazy. There's no more buyers left in the market, right? And our job is to actually just keep undoing that, especially with expireds. They've been burned, right? They tried to sell most of these before the market got all wacky, and they don't understand that it's actually not wacky. Right? It's just been the wrong agent with the wrong strategy. And our job is to prove through consistency that we're going to be different.
When you think about like your home expiring, you know, if I actually wanted to sell that house and I was really like we were moving, that would be a horrible experience. How do we have more empathy for the person that really got burned?
Yeah.
Well, that's the biggest play, right?
Phil Jones says content without context is noise. So you seek context, and the best way to do that is asking the right questions.
Right.
One of the most important lessons that Phil taught me when we co-wrote that book, exactly what to say for real estate agents, this concept of show me that you know me.
Show me that you know me.
And as a marketer, there was a big unlock for me at that time. And the unlock is, okay, if you're going to market to show empathy, you have to join the conversation that's happening in their head. And so as an example, talking about expired, we had this campaign that we ran, generated a $4.4 million listing. Actually, Peggy Lynn Spiker, who's at this conference, shout out to Peggy Lynn. We work with her, a curator. We use this angle that you could use for expired. You could use it for people who are doing just regular resale. And I'm just going to read this for the audience because I think it actually taps into what everyone's talking about. It says there are 2,000 realtors in Maui, but only a few that are brave enough to tell you the truth. So right out of the gates, we're like trying to capture their attention. This is not about the market. We're trying to actually use some storytelling. The real estate gold rush is over, but this might surprise you. Just last month, 146 people bought a home on Maui. If you're going to market to an expired, what I would say, if I were to translate that for an expired, might say something like, we know the experience that you just went through is about as bad as it gets with selling your house. But hold on a minute. There actually
is a market.
There actually, is hope. We've got a plan, right? Something along that, like,
I agree.
Build on that, right? Get in their minds. So
acknowledge what they went through.
If you don't acknowledge it, they're going to say, this person has no idea. And
they're just using me.
They're just using me, exactly.
It's so interesting. I think we all need to be thinking about it. I'm going to go back to, we're all saying the same thing.
Sure.
It's know your customer, know their pain points, and then can you be courageous enough to say, Jimmy, I'm sorry it didn't sell? When we think about what's on the minds of consumers, what are you thinking about?
The first thing that comes to mind, to your point, is that we always have to take away our perception of what's on the minds of the consumer, right? And that's the first thing that, with why the research, right? Because as agents, even myself, right, I get into this mindset of, I think that this is what their pain point is going to be, or why they're frustrated, and making the content under our lens is dangerous.
Yes. This gal, Liz Novello, we're texting back and forth. I said, do you want to get really good really fast? She goes, yeah. And I said, I want you to call every expired listing in your market, and I want you just to survey them. And she was like, tell me why. And I said, because if you understand the pain points of people that try to put their home in the market that didn't sell, the next time your friend says, how's the market or how's it going? You could say, you know, it's interesting. I just called 197 people that tried to put their home in the market in the last 12 months, and it didn't work out. And what I identified was there was 5 reasons that the home didn't sell. And you just shut up. What's everybody going to say? Well, what were they? And again, it's instead of trying to get a listing, I said, take a different approach and actually have a thoughtful, like, hi, I'm calling. I just want to understand, what do you believe are the reasons why your home didn't sell? What was your original intention around hiring the agent? Knowing it, would you have done anything differently?
Let me give you an example of this, Tom, because I think it's just a fantastic point. This idea of understanding consumer psychology. So we mentioned PropStream earlier. PropStream is a fantastic tool to build lists. I called up their customer service department because I'm kind of new to farming. I'm making the transition from being digital going to farming. I talked to the customer service rep. I said, hey, listen, you work with hundreds of people. Tell me the secret sauce. What should I know, right? He says, this is what you should do, Jimmy. Go into PropStream, filter by people who've owned a house for 5 to 7 years, right? Owner occupied, maybe property value, whatever you target. Then go into the mortgage info. And then before you do anything, just change the rate. The minimum rate being 4%. And it took me like much longer than it should to realize what he was doing. Because think about it. If someone has a 4% interest rate right now who's owned the home for 5 years, 25 million people refinance in the last 2 years, what does this tell us about the consumer psychology? Why wouldn't you refinance? If you got equity, you've owned the home for a long time, not worth the hassle. right?
Yep.
I'm not going to pay the fees, the costs. I'm going to sell anyway. So what's the
point?
What's the point, right? So they have to have a mortgage, but if the rate's at 4%, you can apply to an adjustable rate mortgage, the same thing. So we talk about this idea of targeting, like you got to marry the message with the audience.
100%.
And so if you're doing expireds, it's sympathy. If you're targeting people who have a 4% interest rate, like, why didn't they refinance? Let me lean into that, at least at the very minimum, get my message in front of them, because they're just likely going to be someone who's actually going to be selling their home soon.
There was a postcard that went along with that.
Yeah, well, we did a couple postcards on that campaign.
Yeah.
One of the ones that we loved is the Name Your Price campaign. Yeah,
so good.
Yeah, we're already tracking over $10 million in listing opportunities from like less than 10,000 cents, right? So that's what, 76 cents a send, give or take, right?
Yep.
But there's a pro tip here, which is when you create any type of direct response campaign, before you spend thousands of dollars on your advertising campaign, before you even shoot a video and have your videographer, cut it up for you, the first thing you should do, and all of us are passionate about this, is you should test it with an email campaign.
Yep.
And if you get a great response from that email campaign, you now at least have some level of validation that this is worth my time, worth my money. So what you can do is you can send the Name Your Price email. Subject line, name your price. If I could sell my house for blank, I would sell it this spring. Okay. If you get a good response on that in your market, which you likely will, now you can turn that into a direct mail postcard and like double down on your winners. So for me, that's just a part of the principle of becoming great marketers, like test and validate and then scale.
I would be very thoughtful of who would I send this to?
So I think the idea of segmentation is a fantastic idea. And when possible, you should do it. But too many people get caught there. Like I send a postcard out for our clients, 3,000 people, because I'm such a novice in this space. I put the damn postage thing over all the copy.
I remember talking about this with you.
Okay, like I've been doing this for a long time.
It's a scratch and
I'm like, let's do this
scratch and sniff to get the right price.
I'm like, let's do this beautiful vertical postcard, and like the address is. I'm like, what? And so my point is, as a marketer, you've got to put yourself in a position where you realize if you're batting 400, you're in the Hall of Fame. Like, and the lesson that we try to teach our clients and certainly our community is this idea of like, get into the game, get into the arena. Like, don't try to get too cute. Now, if you're a pro and you got this incredible logistical system like you have, like you're the Amazon of agents right now, Lisa, sure, segment all day long, right? But like, make the decision quickly and get the campaign out there. That's one of the things I think a lot of agents right now, especially this group, you guys have high performing agents here.
Yes.
They just like, get in the game. Like, let's go.